Hi, my name's Cody, one of the co-founders here at Adventure Explorations, here to talk to you about some rock climbing. So we've got a lot of different gear here on the table. I just want to go over some of that and talk about why we use it and what we use it for. So in rock climbing, there's risks associated with it, like many of you know, of a risk of falling from heights. And so we do our best to mitigate that risk as much as possible. And we use a couple of tools to do that. So one of those tools is we use a harness. One of the risks we're looking at when we're going rock climbing is falling from heights. And so, like I said before, we use a harness in order to be able to mitigate that risk. And so on a harness, there's going to be a waist belt and then 2 leg loops. You've got your belay loop here as well, and that's just holding the whole harness together. And so when I want to put my harness on, I want to have all my straps as loose as I possibly can so I can fit into it easily. Then I want to step through it like a pair of pants. And then you want to get the harness above your hips, nice and high. Fix the shirt while you're doing it. So once I have it up nice and high, what I want to do is tighten up the waist belt. And so this style of waist belt is a speed buckle. And so it automatically will back up that this is not going to be coming undone while you are out on the climb. So got that nice and tight. So now that I have it tight, I want to test it. And so to do that, I'm going to take 2 fingers, I'm going to put it in the side of the belt, and I'm going to twist it. And if my fingers can't stay straight, then it's tight enough. And then from there, I'm going to get my leg loops up nice and high. I'm going to tighten those down. And what this is doing is just helping to relieve some of the pressure from the belt and being able to put some of that weight onto your legs. Some other things you'll notice that we use today is we're going to use a lot of carabiners. And so what a carabiner does is it opens up and you can put different pieces in it. So it might be the rope, it might be a different device to do that. And so all of our carabiners are locking here. And so we've got this nice locking carabiner that is a screw gate. So you can screw it, and so as you do any piece, it's going to be stuck. While we're going out today, we're going to be belaying each other. And so part of that is using a device called an ATC, standing for Air Traffic Controller. And so in order to use this device, we need the ATC and a carabiner that is locking. So I'll grab my rope real quick and show you how this works. When we're putting the ATC on, the first thing we need is a bight of rope. And we consider a bight of rope, it's a nautical term of biting the rope. And so to make a nice fold. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our ATC, we're going to take our bight of rope, and we're going to put it through one of the sides of the ATC. There's 2 sections of this one. So we've got a high friction mode and a low friction mode. And so I like to use high friction mode. And I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put it on the right side of the ATC as well. Next thing I'm going to do is take my carabiner, and I'm going to clip it through both the rope and the ATC, and then I'm going to lock my carabiner. Give it a squeeze check and make sure that is nice and tight. While someone is climbing up the wall, what you'll notice is there's going to be slack created in the rope in order to for them to get higher up off the wall. And so we need to be able to take that slack in, and so that is where we have the belayer. And their job is to be able to continue and manage that rope. And so in order to do that, we use what's called the plus system. So the first rule of belaying is to never let go of the brake hand. And so in order to do that, we always use what we call the plus system. So it stands for pull, lock, under, slide. And it allows us to be able to do this. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull rope out and down into the device. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to lock, and we're in the lock position with our brake hand down low. Now we've got our working hand that was on top. We're going to grab underneath of the brake hand, and we're going to slide that brake hand up. And so during that entire piece, we just took in slack from the rope, but never let go of the brake hand. And so we've got pull, lock, under, slide. So we're going to pull, we can lock, now underneath and slide. And what a lot of people will do is, a common mistake is they'll do a really big pull where they're grabbing out really far, and then they have to lock down to their knee, grabbing underneath and sliding up. When you're using plus, what you really want to do is do some short pulls and do more pulls. So pull, lock, under, slide, pull, lock, under, slide. And it is definitely a muscle memory, and so you'll learn the skill and you'll get better at it as you go. Also, this rope is extremely strong, easily holding your weight and multiple of others' weights. And you may have seen in some films where the rope is breaking or coming undone. That is false. That's Hollywood magic, and that does not happen in the climbing world. These are easily 5,000 pounds plus of braking strength, and I don't think you're going to be weighing that much on the wall. The other end of the rope is going to be at the climber, and the climber is going to have to get attached to the rope and somehow. And so in order to do that, what we use here at Adventure Explorations is the figure 8 follow through. And so first thing we do is I reach my arm out, and I get an arm and my chest, and this is going to be the length of rope I'm going to want to tie in with. And so this is a bight of rope like we talked about. So the first piece I'm going to do is I'm going to take a twist and say that's our man. So we're going to make our man, and we're going to choke him, and then we're going to poke him in the eye. And what that does is it gives us a figure 8 knot. There's a lot of different ways to tie it, but that is one of the ways. Another way to tie the figure 8, if you want to get fancy with it, is you can throw the 8. So there it is. So now we have an 8. So the next thing you're going to do with your 8 is you are going to take it up through your harness. And so there's 2 hard points on the harness. So with the leg loops and then the hip belt. And so I'm going to put the rope up through both of those points and come out on top. Then what you see is the figure 8 knot coming down. And so what I want to do is right where it comes out at, I want to put it back in there. And then I want to follow it around. And so as you can see, it goes over the top, through the middle, around the back side, and down through the center. So now I want to pull tight on all 4 sides of the rope. And I want to count to make sure I have 5 sets of parallel lines. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last piece I want to make sure is that I have 6 inches of tail. So I do a shaka length. So pretty close there, but we can always adjust it smaller. When we're out on the wall, you'll typically see myself in a lot of different gear. So I just want to show you guys what it might look like while I'm out there. And so the first thing I'm going to put on my harness is I'm going to put 3 to 4 extra carabiners on my harness. And this is going to be used in case of an emergency where we're having to come up and help you out on the climb. It might be that you're scared and you want some help to finish out, and we're able to come up and join you on the climb in order to do that. We also carry a cordelette, and that is also to help with the rescue piece as well. We have what's called a gree-gree, and a gree-gree is another style of belay device that is semi-auto locking, and so it allows us to go hands-free as we ascend the rope for any reason. I always carry a knife with me on the rope just in case there were to be any incident where it's being wrapped at all, but we want to be able to make sure that we can always get out of the rope if we need to. And so I carry a knife on my harness as well. Never had to use it, but always wanted it to be there. The other pieces I carry is my ATC on my harness. And then I also have what is called a pressic loop. And so this will allow me to, when I'm rappelling, to be able to do that by myself. And so this actually clips down onto my leg loop here. And so that's where that sits at for the day. The other piece I'm going to use, I probably won't use in the day, but you'll see it on my harness, is a nut tool. And so while we're putting different pieces into the rock, this just helps me get them out if there's any issues with extraction. I'm also going to be wearing a helmet out there, and all of us are going to be wearing a helmet. And so one of the other risks with climbing is objects falling from heights. So not only us falling from heights, but other pieces coming down. And so at some of our climbing sites, there are other visitors, there are some outlooks there. And so people who are uneducated or don't know what's going on may throw things off of the top of the wall, like many of us have before. Because we think it's fun and not realizing that it is risky and there are other people out there as well. And so how we're going to put the helmet on is we're going to take it and get it loose. And so there's a little screw dial in the back. You'll loosen it up. Take my hat off. Put it on your head, and it's really loose right now. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to tighten it up to where it's tight enough that it's not hurting my head, but I can put my whole head forward and it's not going to fall off. Next thing I want to do is get my chin strap adjusted to where it's comfortable and it's keeping, if anything were to happen, it could fall off, but I don't want to be choking myself during that experience. So got my helmet on, got my harness on, I've got my rope to be able to tie into, and we're almost ready to climb now. So what we always want to do is we always want to check to make sure that we are completely ready to climb. And so any time we're going out climbing, we always do what's called the toe-to-toe check. And so how we start that is we start at the climber's feet and we make sure that they're wearing climbing shoes. The next thing we do is we come up to the harness and check that all 3 points on the harness are nice and tight. From there, we're going to check to make sure that the rope is tied in properly and that then you have a helmet on. And so we're going to go up to the top where we're going to make sure the rope isn't twisted at all. And then it's going to be coming down to the belayer where we're going to make sure that they have a helmet on, that their ATC is properly fed through the rope, and then that they have a harness on with all 3 points nice and tight. And then we're also going to make sure our belayer has shoes on as well, just in case they have to move it all during that experience. The other piece we use is what's called a ground anchor, and so we might tie a rope to a log or a tree or a rock, and that's to prevent being pulled up the rock if that were to be any difference in weight that would be significant. So making sure someone's not getting pulled in or pulled up from the rope. We will have shoes for you, we'll have a harness for you, we'll have the rope set up, we'll have a helmet. Just come as you are and we'll take care of the rest. Safety at AE is our first priority, first and foremost, and so we do use top of the line gear in order to do that, and we also are really strict on our retirement pieces. We do take the time to manage and maintain and check all of our gear before any trip goes out. What we also do is for COVID reasons, we wipe out each helmet with a alcohol swab before every single trip, and we also spray out our shoes as well. The other piece we're going to be doing is we're going to be wearing masks out there as much as we possibly can, and so anytime we're within 6 feet, we do want to have masks on unless it is an emergency and we need to step in. We're not going to prioritize that over the immediate safety risks that are there.